Thank you for staying with us. This information is for our DSTV viewers only. We're taking you straight to Bauchi State for the Bauchi State Economic and Investment Summit Day 2 happening at the International Conference Center, Government House. Right about this time, we understand the governor has arrived. That's just for our DSTV audience only, but the rest of us can stay with us here. Markwe.
Ayo, well, in our studios, we have with us Mr. Laolu Akonde, who is the presenter of Channel Television's Inside Sources and also former presidential aide. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Good morning. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Well, let us start with this issue. And this was really very troubling for me. I saw that when the National Assembly resumed, they resumed on Monday, but it started plenary on Tuesday. Right. One of the issues which they brought up, especially in the House of Reps, was this issue of the narrative on genocide in Nigeria, the U.S. narrative on genocide in Nigeria, right, which has given a lot of people some source of concern. Right. You know, for a number of Nigerians, they're wondering, is this really out of genuine love for Nigerians? Because I think there's now been a pushback by the federal government. We saw the Minister of Information come out to push back against that narrative, right, and now we're seeing members of the House of Representatives also, you know, raise concern about what exactly this could be about. I wonder what exactly would be achievable at the end of the day. But let's quickly take a listen to that report, and then you can, you know, intervene and see what exactly is possible from the part of Nigerians and government quarters as well.
Lawmakers in the Green Chamber collectively sponsor a motion of urgent national importance presented by the Deputy Speaker.
Was introduced in the United States Senate.
The motion highlights that a bill titled the Nigeria Religious Freedom Accountability Act of 2025 was introduced in the United States Senate, seeking to require the U.S. Secretary of State to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern and to impose sanctions on Nigerian officials under Executive Order 13818, alleging violations of religious freedom.
The Speaker, the House is concerned that external legislative action based on incomplete or decontextualized assessments risks undermining Nigeria's sovereignty, misrepresenting facts, straining strategic relations, and unintentionally emboldening violent actors.
Lawmakers argue that Nigeria does not have a religious crisis and prompt action must be taken to ensure the bill does not pass in the U.S. Congress.
It has been read twice on the floor of the Senate and referred to a committee as we speak. And if we do not take urgent steps to nip it in the bud and it passes the Senate, to reverse it will take us a longer time and cost us even more resources.
In the Congress in the U.S., a subcommittee of the Foreign Affairs had been on this matter, and they conducted a public hearing. I need to give this information. They had a public hearing. Mr. Speaker, they denied Nigerian mission and Nigerians' audience and participation.
The country of particular concern is a U.S. government policy on countries that are very strategic and very sensitive in world politics and the world energy security. Today, the action of Nigeria can turn the history and the dynamics of energy in the world.
While the House condemns all forms of violence and persecution against any person or group on the basis of religion or belief, it mandated relevant committees to interact with the Foreign Affairs Ministry to within 21 days lodge a formal diplomatic démarche to the sponsors of the bill and relevant U.S. committees, transmitting empirical data and Nigeria's official position. In the meantime, the House has considered and approved an infrastructure motion for Kogi State.
Roads in the Jumu local government area allegedly awarded to Dangote Cement under the tax credit scheme 2 years ago has completely collapsed.
Well, we have taken the part which we really wanted you to hear, which is the motion raised by Honorable Benjamin Kalu, who is the Deputy Speaker of Nigeria's House of Representatives. A very important matter indeed. Well, you heard him there, raising objection about Nigeria being designated a country of particular concern. He says that this conclusion, if it is reached, will be made on the basis of improper or incomplete information. What are your thoughts on what exactly is happening, and how do you think Nigeria should really react to this?
Yeah. Now, I think that that move in the U.S. Senate is also coming out from the narrative from people like Senator Ted Cruz and Bill Maher, the talk show host that's been trying to form a narrative about genocide against Christians in Nigeria. So that move in the Senate is like taking that forward. It's like, they are connected. And what I will say is that if those interests in the United States, those people in the United States, whether it be Bill Maher or Ted Cruz or the folks in the U.S. Senate, if they really had the Nigerian interest at heart, what they will be talking about is what the governor of Plateau State said, that there is genocide in Plateau State. What the third chief said, actually in the presence of the president, the third chief,
Benue State.
Yeah, that there is genocide in Benue State. That is what they ought to be talking about, not trying to be, in my view, somehow of a destability plot, saying this is Christian genocide. It is true that Christians are being killed, but Muslims are also being killed. So you can't just limit it to Christian alone, because that way you lose the opportunity to be constructive about it. It then becomes, something that is divisive, and it really makes no help. It grants us, it offers us no help. What we need is that, yes, the governor of Plateau State said there is genocide in the state. The third chief said there is genocide in Benue. So those are the things that we should focus on. That is what the kind of help that we need, the kind of attention, global attention, to compel our leaders, our government, to deal with the insecurity and the killings, particularly in Plateau and Benue. My concern is that this kind of narrative is going to give those who don't want to do their job an opportunity to make excuses. Nigerians are being killed in Benue, Nigerians are being killed in Plateau, and we haven't seen a strong enough response from our security architecture to stop it.
And now in Kwara.
Now they're not talking about genocide against Christians. That shifts the narrative, and then we lose we lose the initiative to really deal with it, and now we'll be fighting against amongst ourselves instead of actually trying to bring our government to become more responsible to stop the killings in these places.
Has the government of the day, though, accepted that there is a genocide of sorts, whether religious or otherwise?
Right. Well, the governor of Plateau State is government in Plateau State, if you see what I mean.
Yes.
But I see your point that the federal government will probably, has been mum about that. They don't deny the killings, but they've been mum about whether it's a genocide or not. But the governor of Plateau State said there's a genocide in Plateau State. The third chief, a traditional ruler, a leading first-class traditional ruler in Benue State, in the presence of the president, said that there is genocidal killings in Benue State. So these are the issues. And so we would like people like Bill Maher, people like Ted Cruz, the U.S. Senate, if they are really interested in helping us to call attention to the genocidal killings that those leaders have identified, and not try to give it a slant that is destructive.
How should Nigeria then respond? Because now we're saying the intervention of the National Assembly in this regard. Of what weight? As I did highlight earlier, the Minister of Information, did offer some pushback. But the question will be, of what effect was that? And how do you think that, levels of government and perhaps Nigerians who see the danger in this land, how do you think that there can be a pushback to what exactly is happening, or a redirection of, the will I say, the narrative that is being constructed, if it's all of genuine concern, how can there be a reconstruction of this narrative in such a way that it favors the security of lives and property?
Yeah, so in my view, what government has to do is to do its job to protect the lives and properties of Nigerians, especially in these places where those killings have continued forever. Government needs to be more decisive. The fact that this thing has persisted, these killings have persisted over the years, is the reason why you have some people trying to give it a slant that is not constructive. Okay, so government should deal with the root causes and stop these killings. I mean, these are Nigerians, whether they are Christians or they are not Christians, whether they are Muslims or not, whatever their faith is actually irrelevant to the fact that genocide is going on in this country. We had a governor, we had a traditional ruler say it, and we can see it regularly. Now, if somebody wants to be destructive, yes, you can play up, the faith. You can say, look at this list. There are more people of a particular faith or not. But government should do its own job so that this kind of tendency can be nipped in the bud. And what can Nigerians do? Nigerians need to use this as an opportunity that look now, because they called it Christian genocide in the US, now the Minister for Information is making a response. Why don't we make a response to the fact that the governor of Plateau, the third chief, said there is genocide going on? So it's an opportunity for us to bring the issue back to the front burner, that we need urgent, decisive action from the federal government that controls the security to end these killings, especially in Benue and Plateau.
Well, I know that Ayo will have at least one question for you, maybe another topic. Ayo, over to you.
Certainly another topic, Maokwe, and but it's related in a way. The issues that you have raised, Mr. Akonde, point to only one thing: security of lives and property. And I think it's good for us occasionally to try to delineate government. I usually try to, because whenever we mention government, a good number of our people only see government as government. But then there is federal government, there is state government, there is local government. And so perhaps we need to delineate the responsibilities so that we know what to expect from who. A good number of times, I mean, to the issue of security that you're talking about, for instance, a good number of times, even in the government that you served, in, the president of the day was telling the governor to go do his job. This president has also, spoken to the governor of the same state. Look, there is a lot that can be done. We can convert the insecurity we have here in this state, in Benue State, to opportunities. And the president from time to time has spoken to various interest groups that, look, there is a lot that the states themselves can do. I'm talking about the states because it's easy for us to always centralize all of the issues that we have in our nation. And it begs the question of whether or not we're giving the governors or the state governments a slap on the wrist and diverting all of the pressure to the federal government. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, very important point, Ayo, because if you look at the states, even though the federal government controls the levels of security, but many of those governors, they collect or they take very huge and fast security votes. So yes, you are right. They have to take part of the responsibility to deal with the situation. And when we talk about governments, you're correct. There is responsibility for the federal, at times different responsibility for the state and the local government. But we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that this matter, the ultimate responsibility for security as we are today in Nigeria, rests with the federal government that controls the police. Which again brings us back to the urgency that some of us expected the federal government, the president in particular, to push for state police. We know that they have said that we're going to do it. We know that the National Economic Council, where all the governors come together with the federal government, they are on it. But we need some speed on it. It's taking too much. It's taking too long. We don't have an idea how it's going to end. When the president was pushing his tax reforms, he was very bullish about it. Even when the next said, no, bring it back, he said, no. It's a kind of attitude that we also need from the president on the matter of national security. For instance, this issue of genocidal killings in Plateau and Benue, which the governor of Plateau has said it is and Totiv has said it is. We need some more decisive action, some more seriousness, urgent resolution. But you are right, the state governors also have something to do. If only just raising the hell every time and calling out the federal government if they don't have the ability on their own to do it, calling attention to the matter, talking about the gaps often and often until such a time when we are able to do it. Because, look, the Americans can start talking about whatever they like, but we know what the situation is in Nigeria. There is a genocidal killing in Plateau and in Benue, according to the leaders in those states.
And that also begs the question, something that we have spoken about, and even that government that you dealt with it, that you served in, was talking about the same thing, and that is the first line of security. This government, even in the government that you served, as well, was talking about the fact that all insecurity is local. Consequently, all security ought to be local. We ought to take it from that basis first. How well, between that time that when you served in government and now, would you say we have even moved the needle?
Well, I honestly, I've not seen a significant movement of the needle because we haven't been able to do what it is that we ought to do. But I give the credit to this president because he is favorably disposed to the ideas of decentralizing the Nigerian police. The president under whose administration I served wasn't really interested in that conversation, even when you had an APC committee that came up with some of these ideas. It probably wasn't just interested. So we have to give the credit to President Tinubu that he is pushing. But we are saying that he needs to push more urgently. He needs to be more decisive because we haven't really we've not moved the needle at all, Ayo. I haven't seen any significant progress, beyond the fact that we now have a president who said that we're going to get it done. We're going to do state police.
So much so far, you're changing topic. I thought it was going to take up the minister's resignation this week, but, quickly, do you want to say something to that? Do you think that he should be prosecuted? Because there are those who are saying, look, the fact that he's had to resign, given the weight of evidence against him, even though he says it's not an admission of guilt, but when you look at how thorough that investigation done by Premium Times was, it beggars belief, for anyone to say that, perhaps he might not be found guilty were he to be tried in a court of law.
Okay, so two quick things that I'm going to say on this matter. Number one, there is a good feeling that you have the minister, resigning quite quickly after Premium Times did the story and made the whole thing known. It's good that the minister resigned because there have been instances under past presidents where the president will simply say, look, you cut some money with that minister, just leave her alone, just take the money. And then everything was buried. So the fact that we are getting some action, is a good movement. But it is, second point, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. We need to go to the end of the matter. Even in the interest of Inaji himself, there has to be a criminal prosecution. Because the university said that we did issue the certificate, but he is insisting that they did. So I don't know whether it's a civil case that can sort the matter, because he also referred to the fact that the matter is in court. I think there has to be the pursuit of justice ultimately. What happened? We need to take it further than that. So the fact that he resigned, in my view, is not enough.
It's a fine place to leave it. We have to thank you. We wish we had a little more time, but we really have to go. Mr. Laolu Akonde is the former presidential aide and also the presenter of Channels Television's Inside Sources. Thank you once more.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's the program today. Thank you for watching. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf.
And I'm Ayo Makine. Business Morning is on the hour.
Welcome.